let us just come up now and then we start here.
Okay. You look so good. You're so pretty.
Me?
Yeah.
I think I should accept the compliment. I've been unwell, but you encouraged me. Do you know the way you inspired me? I was just thinking, I'm like, I've been in and out of hospital, headaches for about a week now. And I'm like, wait a minute, girl. Just stand up and just do this thing. Eh? Look at Sean for me. Come on, get up. And I'm like, you know what? Yes. Because I just realized that I was just having a conversation with somebody today that no matter how down you feel, how unwell you feel, life has to continue. That's just the thing about life, And if you don't do it, it's waiting for you to do it.
Exactly. It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. And if you don't do it, life passes by. Life is just continuing. And you're like, so you just have to do what you have to do. And that's the sad part, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me start. So, hello everyone, and welcome to EB Speaks. My name is Ibinabo Enebi, and throughout this month, we're honoring fathers and father mothers, and by father mothers I mean women who have stepped up to play the role of fathers in the lives of their children. And my special guest today is Oluwaseun Joan Stephen. She's a singer and an advocate for widows, and her core interest is to bring to light the mystery surrounding widowhood and to break the evil stereotypes surrounding widows. And on EB Speaks today, she's going to be sharing her journey of being both father and mother. And I want to thank everyone for joining me, my subscribers and my viewers. And listen, I am absolutely delighted that you're here. And listen, if you are here and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. And listen, I'm so delighted that you're here. But anyways, I hope that at the end of the conversation with Shonfumi, that we would learn from her insights and her experiences, and that these insights and experiences would serve as streetlights and survival kits for anyone who is traveling down the same road. And you can follow her on her Instagram handle, Oluwaseun Joan Stephen, right?
Yeah, right.
Fantastic. Oluwaseun, I just want to say I'm delighted that you're here, and I've said it several times.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. I follow you on Instagram. In short, it was my daughter that said, Mom, you need to check out Oluwaseun Joan Stephen. She's doing such a great work. Mommy, you need to listen to her. And I think that was beginning of the year. Yeah. So that was when I connected you. I'm like, wow. And she was like, Mommy, you need to really, connect to her. She's doing very well and all that. And I said, okay, let me check her out. And I did. And when I saw what you were doing, my mouth just closed. And I said, oh my gosh. And the thing about you is that you touch on so many taboo subjects. You go there, And one of the things that you talked about that made me so emotional was when you were trying to get a break, privacy from the children. You're like, can't I just get privacy? And Jubilee was like, no.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So let me begin and for the sake of those who don't know your story, a few years ago, in fact, there's something that you wrote that I read, and I want us to start on that note. This is something that you said. You said, I lost my husband December 7th, 2020. It is indeed a reset of my life, but I still choose to allow God. And that has been my peace. And so for the sake of those who are just hearing about you for the first time, would you mind telling us what happened?
Okay. Okay. It was actually on the 10th of July, 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be 2 years. It will be 2 years. Very soon. June is almost rounding up, and it will be July. Yeah, it will be quite an emotional month. So it was on a Friday, a beautiful Friday morning. We woke up, and I'd had some bad dreams during the night, and we had prayed about it. And I remember him telling me that he was going to go out on that day, and I had told him, "Don't go anywhere. You are not supposed to go out today. Don't go out." In fact, it was Father's Day a few weeks before then, just like this weekend, Father's Day, I think. And I didn't get him a gift on Father's Day because I couldn't afford to. So when I could afford to get him a gift, I got him a plate of small chops. He had been wanting that for the longest time. And I ordered it that day, and it was going to be delivered on that day. So it was a Friday, it was a weekend. So I was like, don't go out today. There's a plate of small chops coming for you. It's going to be fun. So he's like, that he has to run this really quick errand, that he would be more than an hour that he would. I was even upset with him. I remember I told him I wanted to buy something, and I made him go out to buy it for me just to delay him. At the end of the day, he left, and I remember that around 3 o'clock, I had been so busy with the kids, I just forgotten, that he I'd been chatting him on WhatsApp, "Where are you?" and everything. So he replied me a few hours, and that was that. And my neighbor came to my house and told me that I was needed in the hospital near our home. And of course, I was alone with the kids. We didn't have a nanny when we were married. So I went with the kids, Micah and Jubilee, to the hospital. I walked into the hospital, and the hospital was empty. And I'm thinking, how can he be here? There's nobody here. So I called his phone, and then the nurse picked up, and she's like, "Madam, come outside." Because I asked her, "Where is everybody?" She said, "Madam." So when I went outside, the scene was horrible. I saw people laying on the floor, blood all over, and I saw him. He was inside a keke napep. There was blood all over him. His head was bandaged. His head was like twice the original size. And when I saw him, he looked like he was brain damaged. And I remember screaming that, "Babe, no, babe, this is not you." I tried talking to him. He couldn't talk to me. I tried to, establish, "Babe, can you hear me? Are you in pain?" I started calling people, called my pastor, I just called people, like, pray with me, pray for me. Patrick is in an accident. And I remember I called my boss. I called Nathaniel Bassi, and, it was like, okay, he's on his way. So right there, not more than 5 minutes later, he was gone. I was there holding the kids. I remember that Jubilee kept saying, "I want to meet Daddy," because they were so close. She wanted to go to hug him, but Micah saw him. He was looking at him. He knew that something was wrong. And then when he saw me crying, he started crying too, because he knew that there was something.
Micah is the boy.
Yeah, he was older. So I remember that Jubilee saw him. She couldn't go to meet him because I prevented her. She screamed and she slept off immediately. I don't know whether to call it fainting or she just slept off, and it was a horrible sight. I mean, I called on the doctor, "Please check on him." And then some doctor came, just walked nonchalantly and just touched him a little, and they were like, "He's gone." I'm like, just like that, he's gone. So that was by the time they moved them to the general hospital in Marina, that one was even another story. On the way to they shoved him at the back of a police truck. They shoved his body at the back of a police truck, and on the way to the hospital, the truck broke down in front of Lekki Phase 1 on the way to the hospital. So we had to move his body into another car. I wasn't even wearing shoes. My hair was scattered. People were staring at me. People were taking videos of me and the children. It was just horrible. I'm telling you. People were coming to me, Madam, don't you have family? Madam, why are you just standing? You're just standing and crying. Do something. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Raise him back from the dead? They were taking videos of me. I'm like, why are people taking videos of me? You know? So it was horrible. Coming back that day, I'm like, it just went from 0 to 100. How did my day start and how did it end with me coming back home and washing blood off his phone and washing blood off my hands? And you know, it was a terrible day. It's something that I wouldn't wish on anyone. You know, sometimes I wish I gotten closure, even if it was a goodbye, or you know, if he was strong enough to say, babe, I think I'm dying or something. But no, it was just, you know, 1 minute he was here, the next minute he was not here. So that was how I became a widow. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sean, for me, it was an accident, obviously. What happened was, did his car hit a truck?
No. He was in a keke, you know, keke napep, you know. Yeah. And the police said that there was a bullion van that was supposed to deliver money to an ATM. And armed robbers attacked the bullion van. So according to what the police said, the keke napep that he was in with some other people was in the crossfire between the armed robbers and the policemen. So we're not even sure if it was the armed robbers' bullets or the policemen's bullets that hit him. The policemen would never admit if it was their bullets. And it seemed like they were trying to cover up the whole thing, because we even tried to establish communication with the bank that was involved and they wanted nothing to do. They acted as if it never happened. Do you understand? Somebody even said that one of their higher ups said, don't worry, this is Nigeria. In a few weeks, it will die down. You know, so there's no justice for people. I mean, the bank is supposed to take responsibility for things like that, because if you've ever worked in a bank, whenever a bullion van is moving, no more than 2 people know that it is moving. So it's supposed to be an inside thing. Nobody should know, because it's a lot of money, you know, on the road. So it's dangerous, you know. So it was obviously an inside job. So I wanted information. Was there an investigation carried out? Did they fire anybody? Did they ask any questions? How did the robbers know the money was moving? Who were the people responsible for moving the money? You know, nothing was done. Absolutely nothing. So it was painful, because it just felt like they just wasted his life, you know, just like that. He was just, you know, and you know, it's a long story. It's a long story. That was what the policemen told us. That was what the policemen told us.
And after he died, you realized that you were pregnant.
Yeah, 2 days after. 2 days after. Yeah, I had been crying a lot, and they were worried for my blood pressure. So they took me to the hospital to get some drugs. And then, of course, before they give you those very heavy drugs, they want to know that. Yeah. So they asked me, when was last time you saw your period? And I'm like, I saw my period last month. They said, okay, let's do a routine test. It's just routine, just to check that everything. And I wasn't expecting that I would be pregnant. I'd even suffered a miscarriage some months before, you know. So when they brought the result and said it was positive, I'm like, positive for what? It's not even possible that I'm pregnant, you know. So that was another level of shock. Like, no, there's no way I'm carrying a baby and that Patrick doesn't, you know about. So yeah, I found out 2 days after.
Yeah, so it's another level of shock. So that was one. So you were grappling with losing Patrick, and then pregnant.
Yeah.
And then, am I going to keep the baby? Do I have the resources to keep the baby.
Yeah.
And how did you come to the conclusion of keeping the baby?
Well, at first I was really, really confused because I mean, Patrick and I were going through a lot of financial, hardship, and we could even barely take care of the two kids that we had, and then another one, and not having help at or no kind of help. It was really confusing, I mean, but I'm a Christian woman. I mean, I've never done stuff like that before, gotten rid of a baby, apart from the miscarriage I had, and they had to do an evacuation and all
Evacuation,
that.
yeah.
But, yeah, so in my mind I'm thinking, okay, God will take care of the baby. I don't know how. Yeah, and I even went for a routine test when she was, I think, 12 weeks or 11 weeks, and they told me that there was no heartbeat, that baby was not there. So I was thinking, oh, maybe God has said to get rid of the baby, by himself. Yeah. But my sister prayed and she said, this baby is there. That devil is just trying. I mean, I was numb. I remember I told a few people about it and they were like, it's better. Just let it go. Whatever happens to the baby is good. Let the baby go. 2 children are enough. You don't need any more. Somebody was even telling me that she was even going to advise me to take it out, that she doesn't think I can go through this loss and then carry a baby to term, that she's afraid for my life, and she's afraid for my future and finances and all that. But I just came to the conclusion that that God was going to take care of the baby, God. And a few months before that, a prophecy had come that God was going to send a baby into our family,
And Patrick was aware of that?
Yes, he was. He wasn't happy about it because we didn't have the resources to take care of another baby. Boy was like, why can't God prophesy money? Why is he prophesying babies? So yeah. So I mean, I knew that she was sent. It wasn't just another baby. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you have answered the question that I was going to ask you. And so do you think she was sent? Yeah.
Yeah.
And how was it an easy pregnancy? How did you cope with it emotionally? How did her siblings also cope with it?
Well, I think her siblings were very excited. It was a distraction from losing their father. As my belly grew, they were always wanting to touch and talk to the baby, and so it was very they were really happy. For me, I was numb, because I mean, going through 2 pregnancies with a very supportive partner, always taking you to antenatals, he always drove me to the hospital by himself, was very helpful. The change was
drastic, right?
Yeah, and I didn't expect it to be as hard as it was. It was really hard. It was really difficult for me. I mean, her pregnancy was an easy pregnancy, apart from the 12-week scan that said there was no heartbeat, and then we later found out that the baby was fine. Apart from that, it was an easy pregnancy, but emotionally and mentally, it was difficult. It was difficult. There were so many days that I wish I wasn't pregnant. There were so many days, there were so many nights that throughout her pregnancy, I was not sleeping at night. I don't even know how I survived that pregnancy. I could only sleep during the day. I had this very terrible insomnia that once it's 12 midnight, I'm awake till 7 o'clock the next morning. My eyes are open. So it was really hard mentally. I mean, thank God for the word of God, and thank God for my sisters who were helping me out with the older children, So it was really, really difficult. Let me
Yeah,
put it.
and I was going to also ask you, so how are the children doing now, if you don't mind my asking? The, how are they now, and how did they? I know it's not easy, but I watch them on your Instagram page. I see Micah, I see Jubilee. I forgot baby's name, but I remember the first time I was watching the video when she started walking for the first time. She's so adorable.
Thank you so much, Dara. Her name is Dara.
Dara. Wow. And did the children have any form of therapy, or did you people speak to any therapist or anything?
People ask me that a lot. No, no, we didn't.
Wow.
We didn't do any. We didn't do any therapy. Jesus was our therapy. we well, as much as possible, I did not shield them from grief and from anything that we're going through. I tried my best to be as honest with them as possible, and
Okay.
I allowed them to express themselves, to talk about whatever they are feeling. Just talk, just express yourself. Like this evening, my son came to me and he came to show me a Father's Day card that he made. And I'm like, okay, so who did you make the Father's Day card for? He said, I made it for a happy man. I said, who is a happy man? Like, the man you married, your new husband. And I laughed. I said, no, I have to get this on video. That, are you serious? So I allow them, whatever it is you are thinking and feeling, say it. Even if it doesn't sound right, even if it offends people, we'll deal with that, but I allow them to express themselves. And I think being able to purge like that helps. And the children are fine, to be honest with you. They are fine. Yes, they miss their dad. Micah a lot more. I think Jubilee too. They do miss him, but I can honestly say that they are doing well. They are fine.
A lot better than you.
Much better than me. Well, maybe because they are younger. Yeah, I guess.
Maybe because they have you.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, because they have you. I have a guest. I had two guests actually, two lovely women, Abimbola Benjamin and Vivian Philip, and they lost their husbands. They were here and they were talking about the impact of the loss it had. So Abimbola was talking about, how her son would be asking questions about his father, and she had to tell him the truth. And then I think Vivian also talked about seeing her dad. I mean, about how the children, one of the daughters said they saw daddy waving at them on the day they were on the day of his burial. So I really don't know. I think that there's a way that God consoles children that we really don't understand.
Yeah.
They were here, so they were talking about, overcoming the stigma of widowhood and what it means to be widowed but not forsaken. And they spoke very, very candidly about their experience. They talked about how things just changed completely. Like the change, like you also said it was like from 0 to 100. I had a friend who is also a widow. We were having a conversation one time and she told me about the loneliness, that the loneliness is incredible, of course, amongst many other things. But now, assuming there's a lady who's just recently lost her husband watching us today, what would you say to her in terms of the initial confusion? Because you talk about the confusion. I mean, and I know that even the ladies that were here talked about the initial confusion. Bimbo talked about how running, just running to the road and didn't know where she was going. So how does she deal with the initial confusion? Because I know that you also had did an Instagram post and you talked about, in fact, what I loved so much about the video was the confusion and then the music as well. The music was a confused kind of music. And I'm like, my God, this girl is a genius.
At first, there's shock, there's confusion. People react in different ways. Some people immediately some people start the denial stage immediately. Some people tell you there's no way he's dead. He's not dead. And they don't break down until the day of the burial, when they see him in that casket being lowered and he's not getting up. And then he hits them that way. This guy is actually dead. Like, he's not coming back. And then they start going crazy, So you will be confused and angry at the world. And as people walk away one by one and life goes on, you will be wondering in your mind, how can people just move on how can the world keep going when my life has stopped? My own world has stopped. How can life keep going? And honestly, it will feel so unfair. You feel cheated. You feel stuck. I mean, you ask yourself, so what now? What do I do with my life now? How do I move forward? I would like to tell whoever it is that is in that situation that you are completely normal. There's nothing wrong with you, because when people come to console you, sometimes they try to fix you. They tell you to stop crying. They tell you to be strong. The Bible says, mourn with those who mourn, not fix those who mourn. Even when Jesus went to Lazarus when he died, he wept. Then he prayed. Then he rose him from the dead. Jesus didn't go there and first of all and start asking people to stop crying. And no, he wept. He was compassionate.
I hate that, to be honest.
People try to fix you. They try to shut you up. Some people are even mad at you for. I remember someone told me, that thing you are doing where you are grunting, you need to stop it. And I'm looking at him like, do you have any idea what I'm going through? I mean, he was an older person. So out of respect, I didn't say anything. So I'm just thinking, just do what you need to do, because if you will grieve one way or the other. If you don't do it in front of people, in your closet, you will do it. Sometimes you might be walking on the road, you might be at work, and you just break down. It will just hit you. So to that person, I say, grieve. Grieve. Take your time. But don't lose your joy. Don't lose your hope. The Bible says that hope deferred makes the heart sick. And when you lost hope, I mean, that is what makes people become at the verge of suicide, because there's no more hope. There's no expectation anymore. You don't see beyond where you are. And right now it's crazy and it looks like you will never rise out of that situation, but it's a lie. You see, the way life is designed to go on regardless of whatever happens. I mean, if anybody told you that the world went through World War III hundreds of decades ago, you would have said no. The world was at a standstill. But look at the world today. It has evolved. Life is designed to go on. And you are designed to go on as well. Whatever happened to you, widowhood is not the end of your life. You can still find happiness. You can still find love. You can still do everything that you wanted to do. Yes, that person will no longer feature in that future, but you can still go on. You can still go on and live. You can still go on and live your best life. I mean, some people tell me that it's impossible to heal to the point where you become whole again. And I say that's not true. If you read Isaiah 54:4, it says, you will forget the reproach of widowhood. It says, the Bible says, you will remember it no more. That's not just healing, that's wholeness. So I tell people, if you let God, and if you want, because you have to let God for him to work.
And if you have to want, yeah?
Yeah. You will become whole again. It's not like you will never remember the things that happened in the past. It's not like you will not remember that something happened to you, but you will remember it and you will be thankful, and you would have become so much stronger from that experience. You will not wince in pain when you remember anymore. You'll become joyful because you know that he's in it. I know that Patrick is in heaven. I'm glad that he's enjoying, he's free from toiling, free from worrying, free from COVID, free from bills, free from the struggle. He is totally and completely free. The world is chaotic and he's not here right now I feel bad for myself, not for him. He's having fun. I'm the one I feel bad for. I'm the one who misses having a husband to be by my side. I'm the one who's feeling sorry for my kids because they don't have, an earthly father to play with them and all that. But him, I'm not worried about him. He is good. He is fine. So there's hope. You must believe it. You can rise out of this. You will rise out of this if you want to. Because you see, pain, it's possible to hold on to pain and it's possible to let it go.
Yeah.
It's possible to hold on to pain and it's possible, just like it's possible to walk in unforgiveness and it's possible to forgive. So it's going to be your choice how much you want to heal and how deep you want this healing to go. I don't just want to heal. I believe I am healing at a very accelerated rate. But I believe that one day this experience is going to make me so whole that people will see me and not believe that, ever believe. If you don't know me, you will never know that I've been through this kind of thing, So that's what I would tell her. That's what I would tell her.
And, in your own instance, right? Because I was watching a video that you did. Listen, I'm addicted to you. Because I'm like, oh my goodness, you're so intelligent. You're so creative. And the way you say these things or you present these issues, sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're so real. And I'm like, this girl is brilliant. So I was watching something and you were like, your future self, and you were like, I wish I told you not to go. I wish I insisted that you didn't go. I wish I stood and said, don't go. Do you feel like some people would feel guilt? Did you feel guilty?
Yes.
Did you feel, I wish that I did more?
Yeah.
And I suppose he also would have been feeling, I wish I listened to my wife.
Yeah. I felt really guilty. I felt like, why didn't I just lock the door? Because Patrick was a complete gentleman. If I had locked the door that day and I put the keys in my pocket and I told him, you're not going anywhere, the most he would have done, he has a man cave, a room he calls the man cave, where he does his computer stuff. He would have just gone in there and locked himself up for a few hours. At least I know he's safe, Yeah. I wish I had insisted that he should not go. I still wish till today. Yes, I feel guilty. But you can't. He was a grown man and he made his decision, and you can't keep feeling guilty. It's not you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not responsible for another person's life. I mean, maybe apart from maybe when you're carrying a baby and everything, but a walking, talking, grown human being, you cannot. You don't know everything. You don't know the future. You're not all seeing and all knowing. So you can't possibly orchestrate, even if he doesn't leave the house that day, how am I so sure that the next day when he leaves is safe? You can't, even other people will make you feel guilty. I talked about it on my page a few days ago about how a relative of my husband saw me unlocking my phone that day. And the person was like, why are you locking your phone? Maybe if Ajiri's phone wasn't locked, they would have been able to reach you and he'll still be alive. And I'm thinking,
somebody said that to you?
yeah. And I'm thinking, what does that have to do with anything? So is my fault now because his phone was locked and they couldn't reach me? That's why it's easy. Even if you don't feel guilty, people will make you feel guilty. I mean, someone told me that her husband died and that her husband's brother went to their driver to ask the driver, what did her husband eat before he died? Knowing that the man died in his sleep, knowing that the man doesn't eat out. So, okay, you are implying that she poisoned her husband. I mean, that's why it's so easy for in-laws to assume that you killed your husband. They'd be like, oh, okay, what did he eat? Someone said her husband fell in the bathroom. He had blood pressure issues. And his relatives were saying that she hit his head on the wall. How do you hit the head of a grown man on the wall? I mean, I'm just thinking about men's physical structure and how much more powerful than us they are. How do you, I don't know how people think. Maybe it's out of pain. You are looking for somebody to blame.
Yeah.
You can't blame God, so you blame me instead. So definitely you feel guilt, definitely, but it's not your fault. It's not my fault.
Yeah. I suppose that what you said is very, very free, because a lot of times, even as women, you would have this premonition to say, I think something is not right. I don't want you to do it.
Yeah.
And then they go ahead and they do it. And then I think what you're saying is very free, that we can't control life. And that if somebody decides to do what they want to do, you can't stop them from doing it.
You can't. Yeah.
You can't stop them from doing it. And there's something that you said that I find very interested in. So you said that that hope would come. And so how did your expectation come? Because we talked about the grieving process and you said hope deferred makes the heart weak, so make the heart sick. So what was the hope and the expectation that you had? And let me just say this, right? I've had about 3 people on mental health on this program, and one of them, Brenda and even Dr. Ogan, talked about the importance of having faith and hope.
Yeah.
That, like, if somebody has hope is what stops you from flipping.
Yeah.
And in what ways did hope come to you?
Well, I think first of all, I just looked at my life. I was grateful for how faithful God was, even after Patrick left us, and there were some things that I remember that we were owing rent just before he died, and a few days after, I'm thinking, how am I going to pay? And in less than 2 days, I already had money for the rent. Shocking. And I paid. And the children's school and things, God just brought help. And then I looked at my life. I mean, I come from my parents are separated. I didn't grow up in a home where I had my mom and my dad. So when I married Patrick, I was like, jackpot. I have the family I've always prayed for. So I was happy because he was an amazing guy. And, after he died, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have a new baby now who has never met her father. Do I want to be alone for the rest of my life? And I'm like, God forbid. Even as early on as that, I'm thinking, I don't want to be like this for the rest of my life. So I'm thinking, oh, how do I want to be? I don't think I've even fulfilled purpose. I don't think I've even started doing what God wants me to do. So I'm thinking, what kind of family do I want? I want a family with a father in it, children, we're happy, we're fulfilling purpose, we're living our best life. I'm not stuck. I'm not unhappy. I'm not depressed. I don't want that for myself. So I started just thinking of my future and thinking of what I wanted. And I realized that I would have the kind of future that I want, whether Patrick was there or not. Because man's plans can be halted because we are limited in our ways. We are limited in our bodies. Once our bodies stop working, that's it. We're out. But God's plans, because He's infinite, because He is unlimited, His plans for us remain the same. And God's will, marriage is God's will. Marriage, God instituted marriage. And it is His will that we live and do of His good pleasure. I mean, as long as what you want to do is not, hurting people, is pleasing God, God is with you, even in that, And I just realized that I'm going to get my dream family, whether Patrick is going to be there or not. I mean, I wish he was, but he's no longer here. And now that he's no longer here, that's going to be with somebody else, I just realized that life goes on and I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to be depressed. I want my children to be happy. I want them to live well. I want them to go on to do well. And I'm going to get my dream. So I grew up in a home where my father and mother were not together. And I don't want to, some widows decide not to remarry because they feel like no man can do better than their previous husband. Like all the guys out there are bad and, you just never know. I'm not going to do that because of what the word says, in Isaiah 43. The Bible says that He will do a new thing. Behold, I will do a new thing. Do you not perceive it? It says He will make, even though 99% of the guys out there are bad, the Bible says that God will make rivers out of the wasteland. He will make a way in the wilderness. Even if 99% of them are bad, I will get that one good one. That's my faith. Yeah. that's what I believe. So so I just have a hope. I have an expectation of what I want my future to look like. I have an expectation of what I want my children to be like, how I want them to live. I want to fulfill purpose. I want to do more. My life is just more than being a widow. Okay, so yeah, my husband has died. So because of that, I'm just going to sit down and be depressed and be sad. No, there's more. He's in a good place. He's in heaven. I'm not worried about him. So I need to, get up and go.
Fantastic. And Joanne, let me just read some of the comments that I have here on YouTube. And somebody says it's the coach, the Flexi Coach mom, and she said 10th July, I would never forget. And she says here, she was responding to something that you said. She said, you have to want to be whole, because sometimes some people don't want to get better. They don't want to be whole. And it can be a very difficult thing. And she said, it's possible to hold on to the pain and never want to let go, because sometimes people kind of like feel guilty that if they are not sad, or if they let go of the pain, then they don't love the person, or that people will begin to feel that they're not mourning enough.
That's untrue.
Yeah. And we were talking about you said something about wanting to have a family, and because that's God's plan for your life. And I want us to talk about this because I was just, you talk about people sliding into your DM. I'm dropping some kind of funny text.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
The one that is said after a not a virgin.
Yeah, that what are you looking for again? That if somebody comes to you and says he wants you to be a second wife, what's there? After all, you've been married. It's not like you're a virgin or anything. So what's the point of keeping yourself? I mean, the person was initially upset because I said that I didn't believe in premarital sex, and I believe that if you're not married, then you're single. So you should not be exploring your sexuality, with your body. And you've had sex before now. So because I've had sex before, that should become like an open door that just, swings here and there. No, that's not the will of God. I mean, for a woman of faith, that's not the will of God for us.
Wow. And so the person got ticked off.
People get triggered a lot by my post. They're like, who are you to be talking like this? There was a lady that came to my DM, my friend, and she was like, that these topics you are talking about, you have to be careful. You are very bold. That you have to be, I mean, I remember one of my friends even came and said, you keep using the word widow. That is the word widow not too strong? Oh, so I asked her, so what do you want me to call myself? A woman without a husband? A single mother? What do you, I mean, it's what it is right now, and I'm going to own it and embody it until it gets lifted from me, So, I mean, you can't wait until your next season before you start enjoying this season. Be present, no matter how hard or whatever.
So good. I have to write this down. You can't wait until your next season,
before you begin to enjoy your present season.
Before you enjoy your present season. See why not even like, see why I love you. Listen, this is so, so inspiring. Now, I want to talk about being mom and dad. And again, this also is something that you said. There's a question that you asked, and when you asked it, you sent a subliminal message without even saying anything. You said, is a woman too weak to look after her children? And this is what you did. You just, you typed the question up, and then you were like, is a woman too weak to,
is a widow too weak
to look after, yes, is a widow too weak to look after her children? And you just looked, I think Micah was behind you and Jubilee was in front, and then you looked back and then you looked forward, and you were like, and to me you were like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that was the message you were sending. So let's talk about it. Is a widow too weak to look after her children?
No, I mean, there are very great people in life who were raised by single mothers. I mean, they were even single mothers from the get-go. They got pregnant, there was no father figure, and the children grew up and became amazing people. So it is not true that a woman cannot raise wonderful children. It is absolutely not true. It is just better when there is a good father, because some fathers are the equivalent of not being there. I have some married women who reach out to me and they say, I feel like a widow in my marriage. Every time you post something, it's like I can relate, because my husband is, it's like he's there, but he's not there, So when you have, I mean, the role of a father in a child's life cannot, you can't put it aside. It's so important. It's so important. I mean, even if you read the Bible, if you look at the patriarchs, I mean, these days when men come and say, oh, a woman is supposed to be the prayer powerhouse of the home, I'm like, in the beginning, it was not so. If you look like Abraham, if you look at Abraham,
yeah.
You look at Jacob, You look at Joseph, I mean, even down to Jesus's father, Joseph, even down to Jesus, the disciples. I mean, the men were always the head in everything. They were always the head of their tribes, the head of their homes, the spiritual head, even down to David. Yeah, they made mistakes. David, Solomon, you look at all those men. Not that the women were not there, but they were there, I mean, supporting their partners. You don't come to me and you say, oh, some women make it look like I will get an award. So some women come to me and say, oh, don't remarry. Be there for your children. Your children will grow up and praise you. I'm like, oh, nobody's going to get an award for the widow who never remarried. I'm not trying to please or impress anybody. I'm not going to become less of a hero to my children because I decided that no man is good enough for me. So I am never going to remarry and I am just going to live for my children. My children that one day they will get up and go to their husbands and their wife's house and they will have things to do with their lives. I mean, I look at my mom now and I'm like, sometimes she calls me out of the blue. And the things she's talking to me about, I know that if she had a husband, she wouldn't be talking to me about those things. She just needs somebody to talk to. That's what marriage is about. Companionship. Somebody you can pick up the phone and say, do you know what happened today? Sometimes your kids don't want to hear all those stories. Sometimes they pretend like they are listening. They're like, can this woman just
you know what I'm going to say to you, right? I don't want to cut you short, but I have to say this to you. There is no medal for staying single. I looked up, listen, you have to look after yourself and you have to live. You have to live. You have to live your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And pursue your purpose.
Let me just say something. Some people, especially relatives, make you feel like you have to put your happiness aside for you to be a good woman. You have to put your happiness, you have to forgo your happiness before you become a good mother. If that's the criteria, then I don't want to be a good woman or a good mother. Excuse me.
So happiness in what way that you can't look good? Like I think my friend Bimbo was saying that, that they expect you that once you're a widow, that you should die a social death.
Yeah, exactly. It runs deep.
You shouldn't dress well.
It runs deep. I know a widow who her brother-in-law scolded her for going to a wedding. She was invited to a wedding and he scolded her. All she did was wear a wig. She didn't even wear makeup. She just wore a wig and just dressed up. And it was the first time she was going to go out since her husband died. It had been a year since she lost her husband. So she was invited. She's like, I've not gone anywhere in a year. Let me just honor this invitation. And the man insulted her, told her that she did not love her husband, told her that she did not honor her husband by doing that. And the truth is, if she were a man, from the time it's 6 months past your wife's death, even lesser, people would be asking you, you need someone to take care of you. Are you going to raise these children alone? You need a woman in your life. But there's the double standard with women is so strong that people expect you to die a social death. I mean, someone said, a friend saw her in church and she was looking so nice. And the person said, oh, you're not missing your husband. I'm like, oh, so because I'm missing my husband, I should look unkept, miserable. Every time you see me, you should be like, hey, yeah. I mean, sometimes when people see me, they are desperately trying to feel sorry for me, but they are not getting the chance because I don't look like I don't want you to feel sorry for me. That's not the aim here. I'm not looking for pity or, I'm not looking for pity. That's what, yeah. People just relate that word widow with suffering, pity, die a social death, just keep quiet, don't talk, just your life should just revolve around your children and your late husband, honor him for the rest of your life. That's just people's perception of what widowhood should be. And that's not true. That's not how it should be.
And Shionfemi, I want to read something that I got from your Instagram. I'm going to read it. And when I read it, I didn't know it, but I was like, yes. It says here, 81% of widows in Nigeria are under 40. Over 50% of them are in their 20s or late 30s. They are young, productive, and an asset to the nation. And I believe that is your mindset about widows.
Yeah, it is. It is. I took a poll on my page and I wanted to know at what age people became widows. And I was shocked because even before I took that poll, over 1,000 DMs that I have are from widows and they are all under 35.
Really?
Yes, they are all under 35. So if you are saying that all those women should be silent, all those women should die a social death, these are women who are businesses, doctors, lawyers, they are managers, they are, yes, some of them are stay-at-home moms, but they have online jobs and things that they do. If you want all those people to be silent and unhappy and not launch into their future, you are telling the whole of Nigeria, almost the whole of Nigeria. I mean, young widows are more common than you think. Some of them don't call themselves widows because of the stigma. They call themselves single mothers. You would have to probe further and deeper. Some single mothers that you see are actually widows, but they will not tell you. You have to probe further and deeper before you find out that they are actually widows because of the stigma that surrounds widowhood.
Fantastic. And then that brings me to the next question. So one of your core interests is to bring light around the mystery surrounding widowhood and also to fight or advocate against the stigma surrounding widowhood. So what I'm interested to find out about the mystery around widowhood. What was the most surprising thing that you found about it?
One of the things that boggle my mind the most about widowhood is that most people, when you become a widow, immediately think that you are unfortunate.
Okay.
A thing that should be cast aside. In some families, when a woman loses her husband, the families want to keep her as a keepsake.
The husband's
family house. Yeah, the husband's family wants to keep her as a
keepsake
in their husband's in Nigeria. That's
in today's world.
In today's world, Nigeria is not as forward as it is. People still have very backward mentalities. No matter how educated they are, you only find out when somebody dies, and all those things will come running out of the cranny. They will say, that was my brother's widow. He died 20 years ago. They still want her to stay in her family house. They don't want her to move forward. They don't want her to work. They don't want her to go on with her life. If she tries to leave, they will castigate her. They will threaten to take away her children. They will do all sorts of things to keep her down. I mean, I know a woman who was threatened by her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law told her, you must never remarry. If you do, the man that you remarry will die.
Doesn't she have family? Doesn't she have family?
Yes, she does. She does.
And what's the family doing?
Well, her family is fine. They supported her, but that was what her mother-in-law told her. And I know I tried to sensitize the families of the bereaved. Yes, I know it's a great loss. Your brother has died and everything, but the wife is not your property. When she's ready to get up and go, release her. Let her go. If it was the woman who died, you would also be advising your brother to move on, which is the truth. Yeah, because that's how life is designed. It's not designed to be stuck. Nobody is designed to be stuck. When you keep people stuck, they begin to lose their relevance. They begin to lose themselves. People are designed to we are designed to be on the move. The only thing that God has designed to stop us is death itself. And then when you die, then it's over. Then you go to rest. But as long as you are here, you are designed to keep it moving. That's why when people lose themselves, when they are stuck, when they are just in one place, they begin to lose relevance. They begin to lose relevance. So, I mean, that is one of the things that boggle my mind. How people think that widows are castaways, they put them in the same categories, almost as lepers. Oh, she's a widow. I mean, I put it on my stories yesterday, how there's a lady that does an outreach for widows. She gives them food and she supports their children's education. She said one of our pastors came up to her and told her that don't do it. All widows are witches. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Yes. She has I put it up on my Instagram stories. I think it's still there, that all widows are witches. How can you say a thing like that? So people, there's this darkness, this dark perception that people have about widowhood. And you would think it's the older generation, until a man dies and his brothers, his cousins begin to manifest some of these things. It needs to change.
So you never truly know until something bad happens.
Yeah, you never truly know. I didn't know until I became a widow. And these things need to change. Widows are not castaways. They are alive. They are alive. They are human beings. They are designed to be up and go. Yes, a tragedy has happened. Yes, but they are designed to keep it moving. It's just like saying, okay, somebody has lost his legs, they've lost their hand, so that means that they should become beggars. But have you seen the Paralympics?
Oh my goodness!
People without arms, people without legs, see them compete and win medals. That's proof. I mean, have you seen Kobam Sukwo? He is blind, but you see, I mean, he makes beautiful music.
Oh, I love his ordinary people. That's
ordinary people.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's just like saying, just because something bad has happened to you, your life is over. Oh, stay. No, that's not God's will for you. Absolutely not God's will for you.
So another thing I'm going to ask you, because I'm just considering the time now. Listen, if it's only me, we will sit down and we will chat and chat and chat. So how is it like to be both mom and dad?
Okay, being both mom.
So how?
Honestly, it is hard. And there are many days where I don't think I'm doing a very good job, because when Patrick was alive, we're like a tag team, right? I was the strict parent. I was the disciplinarian. He was the one that was funny, the one that used to take the kids on walks, the one that they could climb on his back, the one whose phone they could mess with. Nobody could come near my own phone, So now that he's gone, I have to strike a balance between being both, I don't think it's possible for me to be both, but I think it's possible for me to do my best, which is what I'm doing.
Perfect. So being the best mother that we can possibly be.
Yeah, that's my goal. That's my aim. I'm not trying to be their father, because I'm not. And the Bible says that God is the father of the fatherless. So I'm going to leave it to him to fill the void that I cannot feel. And the Bible says in Isaiah 53, it says that my children are taught by God, and great is their peace. That means God can teach my children things that I may forget to teach them, or things that I cannot. So every day I say that scripture, my children are taught by God and great is their peace. That means, Lord, in the places where I'm missing out, you are filling it in even more, So even when God does bring an earthly father into their life, even when there's a father figure there, God is still father. He is still father because no man is as powerful as God is, no matter how wonderful he is, So I'm trying to be the best mother that I can be. I can't be their father. I don't think that's possible. I'm just going to be the best that I can be. That's my goal.
Fantastic. Now, listen, if you're watching and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. It's Ibinabo Enebi. And Sean, for me, let me just read out some things here. Someone says, hello, Ibi, my friend. Good evening. Thank you. And you can't wait till your next season before enjoying your present season, and you embody this, Sean, for me. And happiness to them is that you shouldn't enjoy your life anymore. And it's just responding to the things that you just said. I think I don't want to let you go, but how are you celebrating Father's Day?
Father's Day, to be honest with you, I have no idea, but
it's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. A lot of widows are skipping church because of that, because you know that churches usually celebrate Father's Day, and it's usually very emotional for widows and single moms. So if you need to do that to feel better, then that's fine. I'm just going to try to have fun tomorrow. I'm going to do a reel to encourage widows like myself, not to feel, down or feel bad on Father's Day, because God is the father of the fatherless, and he is the best father there is, on that period. So tomorrow, I have no idea how tomorrow will be Father's Day. I have no plans. I have no plans to go out, but I'm just going to do my best not to lose my joy. And I'm going to give the children whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I'll just make sure that they don't feel left out, and try to make them happy. And I'll try to be happy as well.
Perfect. Now, I have this one more question to ask you, and it just popped into my head. And I know that sometimes, we may not see it, but what good thing would you say has come out of all of these for you?
One good thing that has come out of all of this, first of all, I would say that my relationship with God has become less of religion and more of a relationship. I've learned how to be honest with God about how I feel.
Yeah.
I've learned how to just talk to God. That's and it has helped me to think bigger than myself. Sometimes when bad things happen to you, you have that woe betide me mentality. But then this situation has taught me to, yes, it's a painful situation, but it's not just about you. God is using it to touch people, to help someone out there. So it has helped me to come out of my shell, because I'm an introvert, actually. When I'm not interviewing or when I'm not doing a reel, I'm very quiet. So when people meet me, they expect me to be all chatty, and I'm like,
I noticed that. I'm like, because when I talk to you on the phone, and I look at the phone and I go back to the Instagram, like, is it the same person?
It's the same person, it's the same person. It has helped me to be more aware of purpose. I've become less of a people pleaser. I mean, I used to be a huge people pleaser before, but right now, I really don't care.
You do you.
I do me. you know,
You
so
do you.
I'm
Chill
less
for
of a
me. Listen, I just want to
yeah.
say thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for this amazing 1 hour plus. I would say that listen, I've learned a lot. As usual, I sit here and I learn. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe, and please Seun Fumi's Instagram handle is Seun Fumi Joan Stephen, and you can follow her on her Instagram page because she has very interesting and informative insights. And Seun Fumi, do you do speaking engagements? If people want to contact you, how would they contact you?
Just my Instagram DM. Just DM me.
Okay, that's fantastic. So it's been an amazing time with you, and viewers, thank you so much, and join me again. Much. Yeah, and so viewers, thank you so much. And you can, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe, and I'll be back next week. Well, I'll be back for another episode of Ebi Speaks. And Seun Fumi, I will call you. And bye, everybody. Mwah, 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 mwah.
Bye,
Thank
Ibi.
You so much.
Bye. Bye. Thanks so much, Tony. And thank you so much, Blessing. Thank you, Seun Fumi. I'll call you.
Thanks so much, Joan.
All right.